Today, I'm going to react to Kyle Kulinski utterly obliterating Ron DeSantis and the Florida Republicans over their minimum wage and workplace safety law. To bolster Kyle's 1-2 punch, I'm going to contribute 20 minutes of research. Let's get started.
This is one of those stories here that slips under the radar, but it's actually super important, so I have to share it with you. This is in More Perfect Union. They say, Ron DeSantis has now signed a bill into law that gets rid of local living wage laws in Florida cities. The law also stops local governments from passing heat protections for workers like water breaks and mandatory shade. It also gets rid of predictable scheduling laws. So let me break this down for you. There was a vote, I think it was in 2020 in Florida. It was a direct ballot initiative. Even though Trump won the state for the presidential race, with over 60% of the vote, the people of Florida said, we want to raise the minimum wage. And I think the number they settled on was $12 an hour. So you have $12 an hour minimum wage all across Florida.
Kyle really broke it down for us, but let me take the ball from him and run with it. The amendment increases Florida's minimum wage to $15 by 2026 and then adjusts it for inflation. We got this, Kyle.
But in some cities, they have individually acted to say, we have a higher minimum wage in our city. So, there are local laws as well as the state laws, and some local laws go a little further. Like, hey, the cost of living in our city is even more. We're going to have a higher minimum wage, so if you work in the city, you make X amount more, whatever the number is, right? This is Ron DeSantis saying all of those cities that have a higher minimum wage, they're null and void now. We are overriding your local laws.
As always, Kyle is dead on accurate, but it actually goes deeper than that. You see, DeSantis and the Republicans are not just overriding local laws on minimum wage, they are actually preempting these local laws. Their legal justification is weak at best and nefarious at worst. You see, Florida Republicans actually revealed their justifications in a highly secretive document called House of Representatives Staff Final Bill Analysis. Of course, the Republicans hid this document behind the paywall of needing an internet connection. In this document, the Republicans argue that the state legislature preempted local minimum wage laws by explicitly preempting local minimum wage laws. Furthermore, the Republicans cherry-picked a recent court case that found Miami Beach's local minimum wage law to be invalid on the grounds that it was preempted by the legislature. Of course, Kyle knows all this, which is why he's so focused on the details of the law that DeSantis just signed. Although he doesn't say so specifically, Kyle knows that the state-level preemption of local minimum wage laws excluded the contractors of local governments, and that this new law seeks to remove that exclusion. In other words, DeSantis wants local government contractors to be subject to the same minimum wage laws as any other business in Florida. Disgusting.
Now, also the heat protection thing. No more mandatory water breaks, no more mandatory shade. And guys, remember, Florida, most of the year, it is scorching. As a direct result of this, there will be people who will be hospitalized and even die. And we know that because there was an analysis of places that didn't have this and do have this and what happened. And there are more hospitalizations, there are more deaths as a direct result of this.
So I don't know what study Kyle is talking about, but my 20 minutes of research really backs him up here. Implied in Kyle's comprehensive analysis is 2 points. First, under federal law, employers have a general duty to keep workplaces free from recognized hazards. Second, heat-related issues can be recognized hazards, and OSHA recently penalized a Florida employer for exposing its employees to excessive heat and similar violations. I think I've come to the same conclusion as Kyle that this federal intervention isn't enough regulation. Kyle and I are just concerned about the people of Miami-Dade County, which seems to be the only local government trying to impose super special regulations.
The connecting tissue with all the different flavors and varieties of Republican elected officials is all this. I'm serving the corporations. I'm screwing over working people. And again, you're only going to hear about this on this show. He's basically lowering the minimum wage by revoking all the local higher minimum wage laws and damning people to no labor protections at the workplace.
All right, Kyle has me fired up. I did 20 minutes of research for this video, so I want to reiterate how pathetic the Republican excuses are for all of this. With respect to minimum wage, the Republicans say that the voters decided the issue with the constitutional amendment raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. They also say that state law preempts local minimum wage laws, but there was an exception for certain contractors. And get this, they say that a uniform minimum wage across the state is better for business. But this is exactly what Kyle said. They're just serving the corporations. There's no logic in this. And Kyle already knows that Republicans are damning people to no labor protections at the workplace. I'm not sure how we got here, but the Republican excuse is a joke. They say that Miami-Dade County shouldn't add more regulations about heat safety when the federal government is actively handling the issue. Again, this makes it easier to do business in Florida, which is the same as serving the corporations. All right, I need to calm down. Take us out, Kyle.
And again, you're only going to hear about this on this show.